was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and the phone rang, and Anne sprang up in bed, and she said,
"That's it. That's the call. That's the call. That's the call." James went into my son's room. He was a senior in high school at the time.
He opens the door. He goes, "You're not going to school tomorrow, James." And I go, "It was the call, wasn't it?" He goes, "Yeah." And I look behind my father, and my mom's completely frightened. She's terrified. And I jumped out of bed ecstatic. I jumped out of bed completely ecstatic because I was like, wow, this is it. This is the time we've been waiting for. It's been 3.5 years, and the time has finally come.
it was finally time to get to do this transplant, and I was very calm because of the amount of trust I have in Mount Sinai.
I had no idea that I had this issue with my lungs. The thought never even crossed my mind that I could possibly be putting myself in any kind of danger.
He had a type of lung disease of fibrosis or scarring of the lungs, and it was thought at the time that part of his problem related to some exposure from the World Trade Center disaster.
The pulmonologist told me, "You have the lungs of an 85-year-old man that smokes 6 packs of cigarettes a day."
It's hard for lay people, it's hard for us even as practitioners to understand a patient who can't breathe. They're slowly suffocating. It's a horrible existence.
I watched him deteriorate to the point where he could barely get out of bed. It was so hard. It was so hard.
There's no question in my mind at the time James's situation was dire, and he needed a transplant very quickly.
He finally saw a potential end to his suffering. Finally, I'm at that stage now. There's light on the horizon that I can get better.
It was the day James came in for his transplant. He was the first one that we were doing at Mount Sinai. So there was already that excitement that, oh my gosh, we're gonna be doing our first transplant here.
I think it was 12 hours later, they were getting me out of bed. And I got out and I walked, and I couldn't believe it.
When I took that first breath, it just felt like such a clean, new breath of life. In certain ways, it was my first breath of life. It tasted great. It was unbelievable.
This was a milestone for the Mount Sinai lung transplant program.
At Mount Sinai, the Department of Thoracic Surgery is a pretty unique department. We are the only freestanding Department of Thoracic Surgery in the country, but we were missing one key piece, and that was transplant. And now that has completed our department.
All the teams involved felt proud being part of such an innovation at Mount Sinai, being the front runners in advancing the field of lung disease and transplantation.
Our program is continuing to grow, and we hope and expect that our patients in the future will be able to have the same terrific outcomes and experience that those who've already had their lung transplants here have enjoyed to this date.
It's a huge endeavor to open up a transplant program from scratch. And James was our very first, and so that's something we'll never forget. The hospital will never forget. It's an honor to have taken care of him.
I thank you for giving him his life back. And with that, you gave James Patrick and myself our lives back.
When you're on your second chance, and you've gotten a second chance, it kind of puts a new light on everything that you do.
You guys are some of the best people to ever grace this earth. You've saved so many lives, and I'm so grateful that my father was one of them. Thank you.
He would always tell me, "Honey, we're gonna get through this together. We're gonna get through this together." And we did, 3 Musketeers. Yippee, yappy, and yahooey.